The two candidates have taken very different tacks, although Donald Trump has been sort of different at times. This week we saw him at one point try to show some empathy for the shooting in Tulsa, but then the next day he gets very back to the law and order. I'm fascinated by the idea on this issue, which right now has the country in a very raw place. Finally, side by side, face to face. What are we looking for on crime and punishment, law and order, race?
Yeah, and I think this will play out, of course, in the debate, and it'll likely play out in the way that we've already seen it. In some ways, this is more in Hillary Clinton's wheelhouse. She's talked about this at length. She's talked about the need for changes in terms of the community policing. She's talked about the need for national standards in terms of the lethal use of force. I think Donald Trump mixed reviews. I talked to some Republicans privately. They felt like he deserved credit for actually acknowledging that that Tulsa video was so troubling. But then again, he also talked about the need for stop and frisk, specifically in Chicago. He talked about needing an anti-crime initiative nationwide. And then he also said of Charlotte that drugs explained what was going on in Charlotte rather than real anger and outrage with what had happened in that video.
So does that, it plays to his base, law and order, tough talk. Does it help him? I guess, is it what he says or how he says it when you're in this debate where, we're just 6 weeks out?
Well, look, I think Trump feels that this is like the 1968 election, when a lot of people believe that the urban unrest played into Richard Nixon's hands and helped arouse that silent majority of middle-class white voters who were afraid. And what we're looking at is a landscape where it's so divided, it may be impossible for either of these candidates to persuade one block of voters without losing the other. By leaning into this sort of silent majority, scary inner cities argument, I think Trump loses whatever minority support might have been on the table for him and hopes that, he gets those fearful white people. And Hillary Clinton, when she leans into this racial justice argument, is she losing those same people and as she attempts to arouse the minority sympathy for her arguments? And it may be that this is such an us versus them election that there's no middle ground there.
Especially in Charlotte. I mean, this is happening in the biggest of all battleground states, or one of the biggest of all battleground states. So Secretary Clinton was hoping to be in Charlotte this morning, actually, meeting with some black leaders. The mayor said, please don't come. We have enough issues on our hands. Please don't come. So she has decided not to. But look, the Clinton campaign is very worried, uncertain, not sure where this is going in Charlotte. They've spent all this time in North Carolina really trying to make that state competitive, and it is very competitive. But I think you're absolutely right in terms of the white voters there. If people see unrest in the streets and things, this law and order strength message suddenly sounds much more appealing than it might have 6 weeks or so
And she
ago.
already had a challenge with white voters, especially in the South, and I think this is the kind of image that could exacerbate that. But at the same time, if you're talking about other voters who are less concerned about these kind of images, I think Trump sounds like, 1968 never really ended. I mean, his entire worldview is kind of, the graffiti-laden subways of New York in the 1970s, and he's the sort of guy who's looking at the cities and they're on fire, and it's a perspective that is befitting from somebody of his background and his youth. But it's just not where the world is necessarily today.
Right. And let's bring Trump's voice into this a little bit, because you mentioned this. At one point, after showing some empathy and saying, especially in the Tulsa shooting, he said the officer there clearly made a mistake. He used the term she choked. Then the next day, he was on with Bill O'Reilly, and he brings back up a very controversial policy that was used under Rudy Giuliani and other mayors in New York.
I would do stop and frisk. I think you have to. We did it in New York. It worked incredibly well, and you have to be proactive.
Now, there are constitutional questions about that, number one, and if you talk to African Americans about it, most of them feel it's used as an excuse for racial profiling. One more piece of Trump here, and he says that he understands this issue and Hillary Clinton doesn't.
Hillary Clinton does not have to worry about the sirens and the gunshots at night. She doesn't worry about it. She's sleeping. She's sleeping. No, it's the poor family living in the inner city. It's the mother who feels like a refugee in her own country. Who is there to represent these families? Clinton doesn't want to hear their voices.
It's remarkable to hear the kind of language in American politics. It's so far from what used to and sort of beyond the boundaries of our country's rhetoric. But the fact is that his perspective is not that much different from hers. Both of them are totally cosseted and detached from that kind of world. So I'm not sure it's plausible for him to kind of make that case either. But he's making up a lot of the stuff as he goes. Do you think his staff knew that he was going to come out for nationwide stop and frisk? No, he just answers questions.
Right.
Well, that's him
And
sitting
so-
down in an interview. If you go back at that rally right there, he ad-libs a little bit, but
Yes.
he's reading off a prompter. You see him going. You don't get a prompter on the debate stage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
that's
the
the
biggest-
challenge for him.
Right.
Is that how many policies is he going to come up with during the course of
Right,
90
on the
minutes
fly.
tomorrow night, right?
Yeah.
And he was making those comments in Pennsylvania, which has also emerged, still is a huge battleground. So he's trying to sound empathetic there, but then his rhetoric does not match that other places. So I'm not sure that he has much appeal here among black voters in the inner cities in Philadelphia. But the non-scripted part tomorrow night is his biggest challenge.
And I mean, it's also white voters in these inner cities as well. I mean, if you look at a place like Charlotte, you look at a place like Philadelphia, I mean, those are college-educated white voters, particularly in North Carolina. A lot of folks moving down there because of the tech boom there. So those, I think, the voters, and some of those voters you see joining those protests, right, in some of these cities. So I do think he's alienating those voters, and that is Hillary Clinton's, I think, the only way she starts to edge into his lead among white voters is with those college-educated
But the
white
question
voters.
is, what balance does she want to strike, and does she follow? She was gone from the campaign trail much of this past week preparing for the debate. It was President Obama who took the lead in responding when Donald Trump says it's bad, it's as bad as it's ever been in the African-American community. President Obama says not so much.
I think even most 8-year-olds will tell you that whole slavery thing wasn't very good for black people. Jim Crow wasn't very good for black people. What we have to do is use our history to propel us to make even more progress in the future.
He's the first African-American president. He's almost mocking Trump there.
Almost.
Yeah, he's
almost.
completely-
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I was trying to be kind.
Yeah, yeah.
But can Hillary Clinton make that same case?
I don't know that case needs to be made, that things are better off because slavery doesn't exist and Jim Crow doesn't. It's such an inane, idiotic comment that it deserves mockery. It almost doesn't even deserve to be sort of fact-checked and responded to. So, I think it's fine. I mean, I don't necessarily think she has to go into a debate saying the African-American communities are actually better than they were
Right, and to
before.
Nia's point before, I mean, Trump's path to victory does not run through, black voters in inner city Philadelphia, but it does run through these suburban, conservative-leaning, white college-educated voters who don't like either candidate and are looking for one candidate to feel acceptable and who may be feeling fearful because of the disorder that they see around them.